I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in hot. Welcome to On the Whistle. I'm your host, Zayn Nabbi. Joining me today is none other than Rocky Balboa. Oh, sorry. No, it's not Rocky Balboa. It's the Balded Beauty, the best under 45, over 45, I lose count, player this side of the equator, and a former winner of the PSL title in Manning Rangers, Courtney Freese. As always, so good to see you, my main man.
Zayn, it's fantastic to see you and especially our guest Lorenz today, but I just let you know we lost our semi-final 4-1. We played against the heaviest men I've ever played against in my life. It was like playing against a front pack in a rugby team. They completely beat us 4-1, ran us off the park. The lightest man was about 140 kilos. I think I got to give up.
No, please don't give up just yet. We got to come. We got to get a camera on, and we're going to show them a masterclass of Courtney Freese. You know, Trent Alexander, eat your heart out.
No, I'm playing centre midfield, Zayn. I'm better.
Well, Philippe Lam used to go there in between, mixing it up at right back. So I'm sure we can make it work for you. But as you alluded to, our other guest today, none other than Lorenz Köhler, award-winning football journalist from South Africa, works for iDiskiTimes. Lorenz, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on the pod. Some might be getting confused. I'm in a Barcelona jersey. Old Rocco over there is in his hoodie. What are you wearing? Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns?
Al Jazira, the pride of Abu Dhabi.
Hey! And come on, show us who gave you that jersey. Tell us the story behind it.
It's I'll show you. Can you see?
We can. It's in Serrero.
Very clearly.
It's the cream. Tulani Serrero. As people know, you'll never see an interview with him anywhere in any media space in South Africa or whatever. I went to his training ground and he said, even though I've traveled all the way from South Africa, I'm still not giving you an interview, but I'll give you a shirt. I was very pissed off. But I was like, this is very disrespectful. I'm not a fanboy here trying to get a shirt, or I'm here to tell a story about a beautiful career, about missing out for many opportunities. In my opinion, should be play with 100 caps of Bafana, one of our best exports ever. But yeah, I got over the hurt, and I just took the sweater. Huh?
Why?
I don't know. Kamo Mokocho was very similar. When I spoke to him, I had like literally an hour interview with him the other day, and he just said that's their personality. They don't want to be in the media. It's weird. I mean, you're a professional footballer. Some people thrive on that fame, celebrity status, but others are just, it's my job, So to each their own. To each their own. I couldn't force him. I got Percy Tau there, so it was fine.
Oh, only Percy Tau. Only Percy Tau. Humble brag. He's coming in hot. He's coming in hot. Listen,
no, but I'm not the bison with a 6-star Dagenham and Red Bridges.
And we haven't even got the pod started. Listen, for those of you listening out there, today's pod is going to center and focus in on the CAF Champions League. We've had some phenomenal results at the weekend, which I'll run through in a minute. And we'll be having Lorenz share his expertise on that. Are we going to see North African dominance once again? Or could there be some really good challenges from Sub-Saharan Africa? We certainly hope so. Also, if you're listening out there, hit us up on social media, OTW_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Also, if you want to find us on YouTube or Facebook, just search for On the Whistle podcast. You'll find us, watch what we do, leave a comment, leave a rating, leave a review. We love hearing from you. But as I alluded to earlier, we had some cracking games in the first round of the CAF Champions League Quarterfinals. We had a case where Simba edged the reigning champs Wydad 1-0 in Dar es Salaam. Last year's finalists Al Ahly beat Raja Casablanca 2-0 in Cairo. The South African giants Sundowns had a storming 4-1 win over Belouizdad in Algiers in the aptly named Nelson Mandela Stadium. And finally, Esperance drew first blood in their match against Kabylie, winning 1-0. Lots to get into here, Lawrence. I'm going to hand the mic over to Courtney first, because I think where we'd like to start really is on Simba and their surprise win over Wydad.
So, Lawrence, as you know, we had the game this weekend. Simba played Wydad, ran out close 1-0 victory against the Tanzanian Giants. Did you see this game as a surprise result for Simba?
Yes and no. Look, for me, let's start from Wydad's, title win last year. I think they overachieved under Walid Regragui, and they didn't have the best transfer windows the off season and in the January window. So I still don't think they are like the greatest squad on the continent at the moment, but they just have that sort of pedigree. The other issue that I thought was about Wydad, which I thought they would actually struggle to even get into the quarterfinals, was that they had two coaching changes since Regragui. They had Amuta, and they fired him for going to Qatar, unauthorized trip to Qatar. I don't know if they watched the World Cup or something, whatever. And then they got a new coach in. So that little bit of instability probably affected their, how can I say, the style of play, and their fluency. Because as you can see, they usually dominate the Botola Pro, but they second now, trailing Asfa by 1 point. So look, they might still win the title, but I've definitely seen some cracks in them. And then Simba, on the other hand, are very dominant at home. It's probably one of the most hostile environments you can find in Africa at the moment, going to the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium. Not only inside the field, but outside the field. It's, for lack of a better expression, it's like a jungle. You feel like the intimidation, like driving into the stadium and things like that. So I'm not surprised they won. But I think they probably would have wanted a bigger scoreline, because in campaigns gone by, they would win 3-0, 2-0, sometimes even 4-0, and then get whacked away 5-0 or 4-0. So they probably should have looked at that and taken more advantage of that. I think in the group stages, the second last game they won Oroya 7-0 at the same stadium. But then the next game they lost in Morocco to Raja. So it shows like what Simba is. They dominant at home, but very bad travelers. So I think Wydad will probably still be favorites to advance to the semi-finals. But weirder things have happened. They do have a quality squad, and the number 9 up top, Jean Baleke, ironically, is on loan from TP Mazembe, who's been doing so poorly in Africa this season. Yeah, he's been banging in goals. I think maybe 15 goals in the past 9 games or something incredible like that. So yeah, Simba, they're a good watch at the moment, and I would like to see them do better, because they are regulars in the knockout stages over the past few seasons, and with the
well, that's where I wanted to come in, Lawrence. I mean, how important is it for Simba to do well to prevent this from just becoming a North African party at the elite end of the competition?
Yeah, look, it's very important, because to just generate the interest in the competition. I mean, when we watch UEFA Champions League and we have a Chelsea versus Liverpool final, it's almost like so boring, you know what I mean? We see this in the Premier League. You like to see, a Inter versus a Madrid, or you know what I mean? You like that variety of two different countries. And to see Wydad, Raja, Al Ahly, these guys, it kind of gets monotonous for the rest of the continent. Obviously not for the northern part of the continent. But if Simba, do well in this competition, they bring with a huge, huge, huge fanatical fan base, and that's good for the competition. More eyeballs means more sponsorship, means more money, which means more. It's like a chain. It's a chain effect. And yeah, it helps these clubs develop as well. I mean, if Simba can win the Champions League. They can attract better players. Overseas teams can attract, can see their players, identify their players and sign. They've never sold a player to Europe before. Can you believe it?
Wow,
So
that surprises me.
Yeah, it's these types of things that you want to happen, so it can open the doors up for Tanzanian football, and just dribble down more, capital into there. Imagine them selling a player for 1 million euro, 1 million euros. It will completely transform, their next seasons and so forth. So it is important that we see this progression. But hopefully the Super League, which obviously is on the horizon next season, or
Coming in August.
August or December. I'm not probably August, because no, they said it either August or December. I'm not too sure, but yeah, this is probably what was intended for these super clubs to be able to get a piece of the pie, generate a lot more revenue, and trickle down into the rest of the domestic leagues for future growth and success, not only in men's football but women's football and the development aspect of the country.
Perfect. You've set the scene beautifully on Simba. I feel like we've spoken about Wydad. We expect them to bounce back, potentially. Simba, not good travelers, as you've outlined. But last year's champs, or not last year's champs, last year's finalists, Ahly, the Egyptian Giants, they're keeping their record chase for an 11th record-extending title alive. They beat Raja Casablanca 2-0 in Cairo. What do you think of Al Ahly's prospects this season to wrestle the holy grail of African football back to Cairo? You're shaking your head already.
Ronwen Williams should have let Al Hilal score that penalty in Khartoum. End of story. Al Ahly would have been out of the competition. Sundowns would have gone to the final and been favorites. But now it's so set up. Like, if Sundowns win, they face Wydad or Simba, and who will be waiting them in the final if they beat Wydad or Simba? So yeah, if you wanna be the champion, you have to beat the best. They've beat Al Ahly home and away twice.
Convincingly.
Yeah, convincingly. They've thrashed them. But now you got another two-legged tie, Cairo and Tshwane. And it's these guys
You're
don't really
looking
much.
worried now, and we're not even in the final.
Nah, all I'm saying is it's like that Real Madrid versus Liverpool final all over again. Liverpool coming in hot, best best attacking team, Virgil in top form, Alisson in top form, and 35-year-old Benzema comes there and he rips them. You know what I mean? So it's just like a football heritage. The football heritage of Al Ahly is just like, it runs so deep. They just feel like they're held to a different standard and requirement. Where Sundown say it's their goal, it's their dream to win the Champions League. Well, Ahly is like, hey, you winning the Champions League, or you sacked, or you sold. It's like there's no like, oh, it's a
But
target.
wouldn't the dream be? Now I'm just going ahead here. Percy Tau scores the goal that deliver the title.
No, it'll be so confusing for South Africans because they love Percy. Like, it's so funny at Loftus. You walk out on the pitch, the Al Ahly team is running out, warming up, and you hear boo, boo, and then they see Percy, Percy down. So and that's Sundown supporters. And when he scored that goal, they even celebrated. So it's very confusing. But at the same time, like, half of the fan base will say we hate Al Ahly, they're such bullies, they always win the competition, and the other half would be happy for Percy, like, just to lift his first Champions League at the club. So sure, they, as long as Al Ahly are in the competition, they are always the favorites for the title, no matter the situation.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the Raja goalkeeper, Anas Ziniti, he still believes his team has a chance in the return leg. After the game, he said, "We were just around the corner from scoring the first goal." Was he right?
Yeah, look, it's debatable. Raja don't have the team. They don't have a proper number 9. They got the Kaba, who's joint top scorer, but like you need a different animal up front for the Champions League. If you don't have like, your Percy Taus or your very creative playmakers and things like that. And Raja's squad is just not up to the standard, and it shows in their domestic competition. I think they're 4th. Um, yeah, there's a lot of, I think there's like a more of a leadership crisis in the squad where previously we had the spine with like Raimi, they had Banoon, all these guys left for the riches of the Gulf. Banoon actually went to Al Ahly before he went to Qatar. So they're going through a little bit of a difficult period of the club's history, financial difficulties. So it'll take a while for them to become that super club again. They need a serious financial injection some way, somehow. So whatever they do now is just, they're gonna take it, but I don't think they have it in them to score 3 unanswered goals in Casablanca, even though it is difficult to travel there. I think just Al Ahly is just too strong for them.
Lawrence, just talking about traveling, and it is difficult to travel in Africa, such a big continent. Sundowns left North Africa with Belouizdad, a 4-1 win, a very good win away from home. The thing about the winner that I looked at, because I watched the game, was the timing of Sundowns goals early on, just before halftime, just after halftime, to really like put out the fire of any sort of comeback, and then right at the end. What did you think of the game? Do you think they got 1 foot in the semis?
Yeah, definitely. Belouizdad actually beat Sundowns 2-0 the last time they came to Loftus, but it was a dead rubber for Sundowns. They had already qualified as group winners. They played a second string team. And I remember the goalkeeper, who was the third choice goalkeeper at the time. He had a howler. He passed the ball to Amir Sayud, and I think he opened the scoring in like very early. So I don't think there will be that type of complacency coming, especially with the 3-4 away goals and a 3-goal advantage. Yeah, I just think Sundowns are superior to them in every aspect, even though they're a very, very good side. It just speaks to the quality of Sundowns then. Like Ronwen Williams. Like you watch the game, you could see what I mean when I say pound for pound, player for player. Sundowns were better than them in every department. And I think tactically, like Mokwena just ripped them apart. Tapelo Morena, who is a right back, played as a number 9 next to Shalulile, if you saw in the game. And that was just mainly for like work rate, setting pressing trap, not letting them build up from the back. The goalkeeper was suffocated, the fullbacks were suffocated, the 2 holding midfielders didn't have time on the ball. Every time they turned around, the ball's gone. So I mean, it was the perfect away performance, and I think if Sundowns can, I think what you get from Sundowns is when they're playing against a team that is like quality, like Al Ahly or Belouizdad that's dominating the league. They just rise up to the occasion, because I think it makes them hard, if for lack of a better phrase, after playing like teams that don't come up against them like that.
I'm just going to segue here, Zayn. I hope you don't mind for a bit, because Lawrence mentioned something also about the traveling. Can you just give us a perspective of a team like Sundowns? What is the travel arrangements that allows them to put a performance like this together? Are they traveling privately? Are they traveling? What is the travel arrangements? Because for a team to go so far and put a performance like this, is there elite travel arrangements for an elite team like Sundowns?
Okay, so look, they paid their school fees under the Pizza Musimane era of learning of the shenanigans of CAF not having a training ground, coming there and then the grass is this high and like their passports disappearing, the usual CAF stuff. So basically they have an advanced team. So while they playing Baroka in a league fixture on Tuesday, their team of analysts and their logistical manager, whatever you want to call it, is in Algeria or Sudan or whatever, and he's making sure that they have a training pitch, a hotel, a team bus, the proper food, everything within. There's nothing can go wrong, right? They probably wrote to the PSL to postpone their midweek game against Richards Bay.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they left on Monday. Yes. They left on Monday and they arrived on Tuesday after 15 hours of travel. So they went to Cairo and then to Algiers via Egypt. So it was about 15 hours of travel. They had 3 training sessions and then a light session. So they were acclimatized, they were ready. Then they come back. They left on Sunday, arrived on Monday, and play a league game on Tuesday, and then 2 training sessions, and then the second leg game. So it's just experience where you see Marumo Gallants having people being used as collateral in Libya when they couldn't pay their hotel, getting stuck in transit in Turkey, their kids left in Turkey, 2 players left in Turkey because there wasn't enough seats on the flight to get them to Libya. Yeah, the list of that shit it was
People being left
I had no words.
collateral.
No, they couldn't pay the hotel bills,
Yeah.
and it was first year when the media officer was left there in Libya. So until the bills were paid, the government got him. Oh my goodness, yeah, it was bad.
That only happened in Africa. But listen, my next question comes from the concept. I'm sure you've heard Leeds United under Marcelo Bielsa, the term murder ball, where you have just absolute high intensive play. Now, the question comes from actually one of our hosts, Alistair Howarth, who asks about Rhulani-ball. Can you give us some perspective on this? Now, you touched on it a bit earlier, the right back playing up front for traps. Give us an idea of Rhulani-ball.
Okay, Rhulani-ball. So he starts back at Platinum Stars, youth football. Obviously, he's got a very big influence from Pizzo and Micho. But he actually had an interview in our paper last week where he spoke of his main sources of inspiration in coaching, which is Pep Guardiola. And in South Africa, they call him Pep Light. He's not even hidden it. He's not even hidden it. Like, he imitates everything about Pep. I mean, I'm sure many of you guys...
Dress code as well.
Dress code, mannerisms, the way he speaks, the things he says.
What's his Catalan like?
Sometimes even the way he dresses. And he has no shame about it.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Poor dress code.
Yeah. So listen, it's like, I'm sure you guys have read self-development books in your life before, where, they say like things like, if you imitate something, you're following in their footsteps. You do what they do, you get what they get. So Pep Guardiola and Roberto De Zerbi is his ultimate influences and inspirations in football. And if you take a close look at Sundowns, the couple of tweaks, but the De Zerbi aspect is so evident, where Ronwen Williams almost plays as like a libero, a sweeper, or he's like outside of the box. And you've got your left fullback tucking in as a central midfielder, your 6 being an extra centre back, and then it becomes like an asymmetric shape that just creates so many opportunities for these triangles. And then these 2 midfielders are very fluid. They're actually wingers, the 2 midfielders. They're so fluid, they cross, Themba Zwane as a free role as a 10, and then you have Shalulile and Cassius Malula, Tapelo Morena, Domingo, Nasir. There's so many options, and the two front pairs, they just made for pressing and for scoring goals. So it's a very high risk, high reward playing system that revolves on a lot of passing and moving the ball quickly. So basically, they suck opponents in the press, move the ball quickly, and they 3 in through 1 goal. So yeah, if you had to compare it, it would be Brighton's coach. That is his ultimate style of play that he's implementing at the moment, which is very impressive because it was something that they just clicked. It just speaks to the quality of the players that they have.
Zayn, I hope you don't mind me coming in here again, because I'm not really a Pep Guardiola fan. I feel also he gets too much credit for what other people have done. I'll mention somebody which a lot of people, because of our ages, we don't really fit in that category. But Brian Clough used to play that football. Playing the ball from the back, playing the ball, putting people in different positions to be able to move. Viv Anderson, who was one of the best right backs ever through England, through Nottingham Forest. And you must remember, Nottingham Forest came from what we know as the Motsepe League to get into the Premier League and win it, and then go on to win the European Cup. With how many players?
Yeah.
15 players in those days, playing 62 games. So
there's hope for Cape Town Spurs, you say?
There's hope for Cape Town Spurs. Believe in the concept, Sean Bott. Believe in the concept.
But I was going to say, but my slight disagreement here is that Brian Clough doesn't get credit.
No,
are you kidding me?
No, I'm saying
like what? Wait, like you gotta explain that.
No, I'm saying don't over credit Pep Guardiola like he's this founder of the method. He produced it. He's this great coach that came up with this philosophy. He's not.
Yeah, but the thing is, everybody is inspired. Pep is inspired by Johan Cruyff and Bielsa and whoever. So it's a chain reaction. You know what I mean? Like everybody takes inspiration from some way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Hungarians of the 50s.
The mighty Myanmars or whatever they were called.
Yeah, they were probably the pioneers of this before the Dutch and
the total football.
Like we build on the giants of what we stand on the shoulders of giants.
And to be honest,
Pep's a giant.
To be honest, a lot of the North Africans have actually likened the Sundown squad to the Brazil of the early 90s, or the late 90s and the early 2000s. That style of play, which was, if you go watch the old 2002, 1998 World Cup, it was that diamond midfield with the 2 strikers up top. Just thinking of Adriano and Arna is just giving me.
Because they're always coming in hot. And this is why I have to ask the question. Somebody who's been absolutely on fire for Sundowns and has looked like just this like chief destroyer is Peter Shalulile up front. He's been brilliant. He had 2 goals at the weekend. He had an assist. He's not only doing it for club, he's been performing well for Namibia. They are hoping to qualify for the AFCON next year. What is it that has made him so deadly at Sundowns, and why has his game seemingly gone up a notch?
I don't know if you guys know this, if you've spoken to other people, but Peter Shalulile came to South Africa having played 1 season as a striker. He was a left back. And when you're right-footed and you're playing left back, what does that tell you? You are the worst player in our squad. So you going in left back, bro.
Oh, the only one that they can find.
You've got a lot of heart. You've got a lot of heart. You played left back. You know what I mean? So they And then I think it was Riccardo Monetti, if I'm not mistaken. You should probably get this guy on the pod then. He converted him into a winger and then into a striker. And he told me he was so like obsessed, like I'm a striker now. And he went to YouTube and he watched all the best strikers in the world. And he tried to imitate certain things that they did. He said he watched Zlatan, he watched Ronaldo, he watched, Drogba, and he literally went and he practiced those things. Like these are the good things that a center forward does. And everything else was hard work since then. Highlands Park, Golden Boot, Sundowns, Golden Boot, Golden Boot, Golden Boot. And the funny thing about him is you look at him and you're like, this guy's not, doesn't even have a first touch. Like he doesn't have but he just knows where the net is. And it's so instinctive. And I mean, like many of the Sundown scouts, I've been told, yeah, you need to find the next Peter. You don't find the next Peter. It's like he's a one in a million. Not the most talented players, but he just anticipation, work rate, training harder than everyone else. And the funny thing is, when everybody says, Shalulile is overrated, he's finished, boom, he scores 2 goals in the Champions League or scores a hat-trick in the PSL. That's the mentality that he has. And the funny thing is, like, when I spoke to him at the Namibia camp, like 3 weeks ago, he said he was so grateful to have gotten that sports hernia injury because he could rest now. He said it was a blessing in disguise that when he came back from his injury, he was so fresh and ready. And he said he just wants to suffer as much as possible to win this Champions League, his first Champions League. And he's hoping that can, be the catalyst for, getting that, dream move to Europe. And obviously the AFCON will definitely be a bonus, a second AFCON with Namibia for himself. But yeah, he's just a phenomenal player, and he's a very good human being, a model pro. His teammates hate him though. His international teammates.
Why is that?
They say he's very boring. He comes, he prays, he goes to sleep early. The gents are looking for people to come in hot.
He's begging in the goals. He's hot.
No, they're looking for, you want camp for long, you wanna maybe have a sundown at the pool. No, not Peter Shalulile. Peter Shalulile he's gonna sleep early.
He's the Courtney Freese of Manning Rangers then.
No, he's gonna sleep early, he's gonna wake up early, he's gonna train. When you go waking up for breakfast, that guy's already had his first training session in, whether he's running, gymming, I don't know. He's just a machine.
Beast.
Well, it's impressive to hear that type of thing, Lawrence, because it just shows you how the game has moved on from where I know it to be and how professional players are, because obviously their machines are their bodies. And, as you said, his first touch isn't great. Absolutely. I believe he's similar to someone like, who I think is possibly one of the worst footballers I've ever seen, Filippo Inzaghi, but just got bags of goals everywhere he went. He couldn't trap a bag of cement, but my goodness, could he finish? And Shalulile has also got a fantastic turn of pace as well, He's got a formula that's working for him.
Definitely.
Yeah, clean living.
Yeah, I think it's just a repetition as well. After he's done training, he will work with certain coaches. Like remember when I was speaking before we started the pod about sitting with an analyst and saying, where do I improve? How do I improve? He does that, and then he will get him a personal trainer to go shoot. Like outside of they kick him out of the training ground, and then he goes finds another training ground to go shoot more. So he's just very, very hungry. And I think it's part of that. There's certain formula and ingredients that just create something special. And, coming from, somewhere in Namibia, football league is dire there, professional football non-existent. And then, getting that opportunity to showcase like what I can do, I think he's just, grabbed it with both hands and said, I've only got one career. I've got maybe 5 years left in me now, 6 years left in me now. Let me push myself to the complete limit. And there probably isn't many players like that in Africa or South Africa, in Africa as a whole, that has that, sort of mentality.
Honestly, he might be a boring dude, but I would love to get him on this pod just to get more insight and to hear from him. And honestly, we're hoping that he does well in the Champions League.
And I've got
Sundowns
to
go deep.
That celebration, Zayn. The celebration makes
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I think to myself, if I'm the coach,
why don't you
stop him
reenact
doing
it for
that.
us right now, Courtney? Reenact it for us.
Just no, it's that like sort of like that triple jump striding. I think he's gonna tear a quad. He's gonna tear a muscle. Stop that. Don't do that.
Don't do
but
that.
listen,
Well,
The
listen.
Springbok.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, you like your rugby, Courtney.
Oh man. But listen, Lawrence, talking about cup competitions, we're looking at CAF
just before we get to the Confederation, I do have one question, Courtney. So sorry. On the Esperance and
yes,
Kabylie game. Again, we'll just do one question on this before we go to the Confederation Cup and wrap this pod up. And we certainly had a case where Tunisia's Esperance drew first blood against Algeria's Kabylie, winning 1-0 to earn a precious first leg advantage. What do you expect from this North African tie?
Yeah, Esperance is gonna walk through to the semi-finals. Kabylie is, I don't know what's going on with them. They fighting relegation. It's like Manchester United fighting relegation in the Premier League. It's unheard of. And I honestly don't know what's going on there at the moment. But they did put up a decent performance in front of their home crowd. I think Esperance scored with the only shot at goal, or the only shot on target. But yeah, in Tunisia, it's going to be a different beast, and they've also got pedigree. If you put the Wydad, Esperance, Al Ahly, TP Mazembe maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, these are the guys you would always expect in the semi-finals. So yeah, they're up there, but I think they're lacking also a proper goal scorer this season. So I think semi-finals is probably where their run ends. They'll probably beat Al Ahly.
I jumped the gun a few minutes ago with the CAF Confederations Cup conversation. I'm just too excited because while talking to you guys, Dylan Kerr's texting me on the right-hand side here. When are you going to get me back on the podcast? When are you going to get me back? Listen, I can't understand Marumo Gallants at the moment. Put up a fantastic performance in the second half against Pyramids. Non-existent in the first half. Could have won, as you said a bit earlier, by more goals. How do you understand this form? Struggling in the Premier League, going far in the CAF Confederations. Explain it, if you can.
I don't know. I was literally speaking to someone this afternoon, and I was like, we need to figure out what Muti they're using. Like, they got a new Muti dealer, like, midway through the season. Maybe Dylan got something there.
Now
his
Muti,
travels.
for obviously international listeners, is a term for medicine or
Black magic
or juju or whatever you'd like to call it for those who are
tribal stimulus.
What is the shaman or the witch doctor providing you with?
We all know that Dylan was a trailblazer through East Africa, where the Muti is the strongest. So we will never know. But yeah, it's been I think one of the key aspects is when Dylan came in there, the team they were so down and out. They were playing well, but not getting results. And obviously, of the chain of defeats and not winning, your morale is completely shattered. Now, one of Dylan's greatest assets is obviously he's able to motivate people. He's a funny guy. He makes you feel like you're part of a family, you're a tight-knit bunch, that type of thing. And I think that's all that was needed. putting the tactical aspects aside of, the revolutionary 4-4-2. But but the thing is, if you look at Gallants,
if it works, don't knock it.
Now, yeah, if you look at Gallants, it's literally a team of rejects and misfits from, like, their top striker, Ranga, like an example. He was a free agent when the season started. Not a single team wanted him in the top flight. He hardly ever played when he was at Baraka. The only time he had a good season was it was 4 years ago at Ubuntu Cape Town in the second division, and he scored about 11 goals. He went abroad 2 years ago. COVID happened. In Kosovo, he only played 5 games. He came back, and then everybody was like, "No, this guy is done. He's useless." You know what I mean? He went on trial at Gallants at the start of the season. I said, "Okay, we'll give him a shot." And now our whole continent wants him now because he's banging in goals left, right, and center. And the rest of the team is the same. Tsepo Gumede, Mohomi, these are all guys that people say they finished. They must go play. They must go play in Kosais or at the Kathy football. They finish. You know what I mean? So these guys are so hungry to prove themselves, to put bread on the table, literally, to have a salary at the end, that they tapped into that level of motivation to say, guys, this is your chance to prove yourself, to get better contracts here or elsewhere, and things like that. And if you had to watch that game at Pyramids, then the right back in particular was coming up against Ramadan Sobi, who is one of the best players on the continent, one of the most talented players. He's a 34-year-old right back that probably 80% of PSL audience probably wouldn't even know his name. That's how unknown some of those players are. And he didn't give that guy a sniff. It was probably one of the best, individual defensive performances I've seen in a very, very long time. When somebody was just like, you every single time he tackled him and he got the ball away, you know what I mean? And that was the danger man for Pyramids. So it's that type of character and quality that's just like, wow. It's like, it's amazing. They're playing for each other. They're playing their hearts out. And through this CAF run, I think they wouldn't have improved their form in the league because they managed to get a couple of positive results, built momentum, and now they're just playing on instinct. There's not even training happening. It's just boom, game, travel, boom, game, travel, boom, game, travel, boom, game. No thinking about anything else. And when you start getting positive results, it's kinds of snowballs. So I think about 4 or 5 weeks ago, they were dead last, I think 7 points from safety. But we watched them beat USMA, which is one of the biggest teams in Algeria. We were like, now this team is never going to go down. If they know what they can do against USMA, then they will have that confidence to say we can survive. And it's exactly what's happening. You're getting positive results now. And it's very, very, I think it's one of the stories of the season.
I still worry for them. They are just outside the relegation zone, 2 points adrift of Chippa United and Swallows at the moment.
Swallows and Maritzburg in 2 of their last 3 games.
Ooh.
And Sundown's dead rubber.
I hope my hometown team don't go down, Lawrence. I really hope.
I'll be in Dobsonville on Thursday. Big game, Maritzburg versus Swallows. Massive game.
My gosh. But
there we go. It's big at the bottom, it's big at the top.
I tell you, I feel Swallows are going to be drawn into it. I think Chippa United and Maritzburg are there. But if someone gets a good result, it's so tight at the bottom. It's almost it's more exciting than the top. Amazulu, who beat Chiefs a few weeks ago 4-1, they just outside the relegation zone.
They only 1 point ahead of Gallants. And let me just check here. Their final four. Yeah, their final 4 games: Kukune, Sundowns, Golden Arrows, and Pirates. And they can't buy a win at the moment. So,
No points.
but let's not get in there.
No points. No.
Let's then give us another braai next week for this thrilling relegation thing.
Love it.
Well, listen, Lorenz, if you're around next week, we want to chop it up around the CAF Champions League. You're more than welcome to come back around those ties as we look to the semis. Always a pleasure having you on. For those listening out there, could you remind them where they find you on Facebook, Twitter, all those platforms you give your analysis, expertise, and perspective?
Yeah, it's just my name, Lorenz, Lorenz Köhler, Kohler on Facebook. Twitter, it's Lorenz_KO. And TikTok the same. YouTube the same. And yeah, that's the only platforms that I use at the moment.
The man from iDiskiTimes, dominating on all fronts. Thank you for coming on the pod. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Next week, we hope to see you, if you're here, in a different football jersey, given to you by a different player. Maybe something vintage or retro from Manning Rangers, if you can do that.
I'm not that old. I think the old. I think the oldest.
You don't remember the original Cape Town Spurs?
No, I've got the oldest jersey I own is the 99 United, the sharp jersey with the zip and the collar. Yeah, I was still in primary school. Obviously the others were like broken and stuff and thrown away. That's the only one that I had.
96 Bafana.
But my favorite one that I have in the cupboard is probably, other people would say it's ugly, but I found the beauty in it. It was the 2009 Confederation Cup Bafana jersey.
Yeah.
The one with the 3/4. Remember the 3/4 of Lutsulunyane, Tekomodise, Dikhatwe. Yeah, that was
playing with your one, Zayn. I'm not gonna lie to you, Zayn. I can't believe you got it. I can't believe you got it. I didn't know. Someone must have given it. 90
did you
Bafana jersey.
Original, or did you get it from these new guys?
Kappa. Was Kappa?
Okay.
Am I right to say that?
Yes, Kappa.
Yeah, it's Kappa.
Got it from them. For free. Because I was an influencer before my time.
Oh, please.
Hey,
I was Instagramming before there was Instagram. But the funny thing is, somebody said to me, you got that in 96. How does that still fit you now?
Tell them, because in the back in the day there wasn't tight fitted shirts. It was they were all throwbacks. They were like basketball jerseys, and with the tuck in with that jump rope for in the shorts.
Yeah, see, the man knows, and I'm taking it back now. 2014 World Cup. Germany win. I've been working out there, and we're walking on the Copacabana in the early hours of the morning, and German fans are excited, and Argentinian fans are excited. No, they're not. And Brazil fans are excited because they hate Argentina. But people try to swap Brazil and other football jerseys for my Bafana one, and I'm like, nah, I'm keeping this one. I'm keeping this one.
Is say shoes Moshe at the back?
Well, actually, should say doctor, but it says nothing. But listen,
I want to say the funny thing is, before I go, I can't fathom that there was an era where we had to tie our football socks with that rope as well. Like, can you even, Courtney, can you even believe that there was a time you had to tie your football socks with that rope?
Listen, yeah, Lawrence, I can remember an era where we used to rub on our thighs brake fluid. Because, there was a time to get the shine like the David Nyati thighs, get the glowing thighs. We used to know that we want the shine. And we used to put brake fluid. Listen to that. I'm telling you, rub it in the thighs to get the shine like David Nyati in shoes and doctor. Yet they're using Vaseline. Where we got brake fluid from?
Gentlemen, let me leave you to go shine up your thighs. Hopefully we'll all chop it up next Monday, talking some CAF Champions League. Lawrence, always a pleasure. Never a chore.
Lovely to see you, Lawrence.
Courtney, Rocco, Freese, thank you for being here as always.
Take care, player.
Delivering from all our Peter Shalulile, hardworking, delivers in the box, does the video analysis. We've loved this pod. And remember, we were coming in hot. We were coming in hot. We were coming in hot. We were coming in hot.